Okay, thank you for that reminder. So you all should have just gotten a notification, but we are recording the meeting, just so that you all know. And with that, we will get started. So yeah, welcome everybody to the first quarter meeting for 2026. And Virginia, if you could go ahead and go to the next slide. So just to give everyone a quick overview of what to expect during this meeting, we're just going to provide a little bit of an overview about Caltrans, and then we're going to do housekeeping and roll call. District director update. Actually, our director, Ann Fox, wasn't able to make it today, but Jose Marquez here sitting next to me will provide a few updates. Then we'll do personnel updates, a standing CW BPAC update, an overview about submitting BPAC Hub comments, and then we'll take some time for member updates and comments. So if any of you have anything that you would like to bring to our attention, that would be your time to speak up and share whatever you would like. And then we'll move on to a couple updates and presentations. We have a guest today. The Green Infrastructure Consortium will be doing a presentation, and then also some updates from our D11 Complete Streets program. And then finally, if there is any remaining time, we can open it up for general discussion. Next slide. All right, so this is just a very general overview, but for those who don't know, Caltrans, we are the California Department of Transportation. We're responsible for overseeing the state highway system, and we do a whole bunch of other things like partnering with local agencies to provide technical assistance and provide grant funding opportunities as well, along with a bunch of other things. Next slide. And District 11 covers 2 counties, San Diego and Imperial counties. So when we're looking at projects and recommendations, we're really focusing on this geographic region of those 2 counties. Next slide. And then our mission statement is improving lives and communities through transportation. And we also have our core 4 principles of safety, equity, economic prosperity, and climate action. Next slide. And then finally, we adhere to Title VI requirements. So we are not able to exclude or discriminate in these public meetings. Next slide. All right, so with that quick overview, just get to some housekeeping items. So yeah, welcome to our hybrid BPAC meeting. If you are a virtual attendee, all non-presenters should be muted. Any comments or questions, please use the raise hand feature or type directly into the chat. Presenters will address questions after their presentations. This meeting is being recorded and will be posted online afterwards. And then for anyone attending in person, please go ahead and sign that sign-in sheet in the back of the room if you haven't. And also just a note to avoid side conversations because the mics are very sensitive in this room and they will pick it up. And so go ahead and just raise your hands if you have any questions or comments today. Next slide. All right, so we'll do a quick roll call. So if you're attending in person today and you're from an external agency, if we could go around the room and maybe just introduce yourself and say who you're representing. So we can go around this way, maybe.
Sure, Brian Gaze, CEO at Avari Consulting here in San Diego.
Ian Hembry with the San Diego County Bicycle Coalition.
Hua with Scripps Mercy in Caltrans.
And I'm Vicky Estrada with the San Diego Green Infrastructure Consortium.
Great. Well, thank you all for joining. I think that's everyone from outside of Caltrans. Appreciate it. And then for those online, I think we're going to get a lot of dings here in the room. But yeah, go ahead and put your name and organization in the chat if you don't mind, and I'll pause for a minute so you can all do that. All right. Looks like we have some good participation today. All right, we'll go ahead and move on. So I'm going to give a quick update on our personnel updates. Next slide. So yeah, just a quick update. I was on a leave of absence for the past few months on paternity leave, but I'm happy to be back now. While I was out, Seth Cutter was acting as the Complete Streets Program Manager. So I know many of you know Seth well, and just want to give him a big shout out and thank you for filling in while I was out over the past few months. But yeah, I'm back now, and then also just so you know, as a reminder, we have a big team here, and this is our team here, Virginia, Alex, Jake, Lazaro, Trey, Gia, and Liz. And then if you want to go to the next slide, Virginia. And then we also have a leadership update. Jose Marquez, sitting here next to me, is our new Deputy Director of Planning and Local Assistance. And I will do just a brief introduction. Jose has worked with Caltrans for 19 years, where his work has consistently emphasized collaboration, equity, and translating planning into deliverable programs and projects that support the district and statewide goals. In his roles as Caltrans District 11, Jose has led complex planning initiatives such as the Baja California Border Master Plan, coordinated multi-agency and binational stakeholders, and advanced innovative approaches to freight planning, border mobility, and policy implementation. So we're excited to have Jose as our new Deputy Director. So Jose, I'll hand it over to you if you want to say a few words.
Well, thank you. Very excited to be here with all of you and be part of this team, this effort. Yeah, I'm very excited. I've been with Caltrans like Dave was mentioning, almost 20 years. And one of the things that I remember when I started with Caltrans as the TP and Associate Transportation Planner, I'll share a story. I was working I've been working a lot of binational issues, freight, transportation. And I remember this lady years ago who was like, that I constantly saw her like almost like on a weekly basis. And she was like, well, I see you guys are doing a lot of projects down at the border, expanding the ports of entry. But I walk as a pedestrian. I mean, I crossed the border as a pedestrian. I had to go to my medical appointments. And when are you guys going to start doing something about that? And she was every week, constantly asking me about like, what are you going to be doing? Something at the border. And I was like, okay, well, and like I said, like I saw her like every week and every weekend usually, and she was reminding me like, oh, you need to do something. I mean, like what I see that they're adding more lanes at the border. What about us, the pedestrians that like me, people like I'm old and I have to go cross the border to see my family. And I was like, okay, Mom, let me see what I can do. So it was, so that actually led me to help get funding to develop the first bicycle and pedestrian, the first active transportation plan for between California and Mexico. And it was so successful. I worked with actually with Virginia Mendoza when she was in ICTC on that effort. And it was very successful that we replicated that effort, and now the state of Texas is replicating that effort, like to actually have a active transportation at their land ports of entry. So that started with just actually listening to common people like my mom. So I'm excited to work on these issues and work with you guys. And I have actually a couple of updates from our director that she couldn't be here. Next slide, Virginia. Yeah. So on February 6th of this year, the Director's Policy number 40 was established to improve transit access on the state highway system. Improved transit will not only help the state meet its climate, health, equity, and environmental goals, but it also promotes social and economic vibrant communities. Public transit, as you know, use will result in safer roads for all users and will help the state reach its goal of eliminating fatalities and serious crashes. Caltrans will identify transit priority facilities, and I hope you can help us with that, without those efforts, and as we identify these transit priority facilities and transit infrastructure needs on the state highway system in the district transit plans. I encourage you to, maybe we can share this policy with the team, no?
Yeah, we can share it after.
Yeah, we can share so I encourage you to all to take a look at this new director's policy for transit. And next slide, please. And in December of last year, Caltrans completed a rehabilitation project on the 30th Street pedestrian bridge, which serves as critical connection between Barrio Logan and Logan Heights communities in San Diego. A community event in January highlighted the safety improvements, including fencing, lighting, paving, and creating pilot pavement preservation treatments that installed a new community center mural by local artists, by the local artist Bricks One. So we're really excited about this project. And those are my updates.
All right, thank you, Jose.
Yeah,
Appreciate it. All right, next slide, Virginia. All right, so next we have our California Walk and Bike Technical Advisory Committee update. Everett, are you on the line here today to provide an update?
He may not, but I have the text.
Okay.
So Brian Gaze again, I actually sit on this committee with Everett, and unfortunately, I don't believe either of us made the meeting, although I do have the agenda up
Correct.
front.
Correct.
Yeah, there he is. I didn't know if you were on or not.
Sorry, I think we meant to hit mute.
So,
Sorry, I think we meant to hit mute.
okay, no worries. Yeah, so basically, to be honest, the last time we were here at this meeting, I kind of presented on this as well. And it actually looks like, based on what I see on the agenda, it's sort of a similar update. They always give a really good legislative update in terms of new initiatives kind of winding through the State House. Actually, there's an update on transit policy, which I assume aligns with the policy just mentioned. Then another sort of emphasis on transit, on some work being done in D4, kind of a toolbox of strategies and applications on transit and sort of bike ped access, and then just local updates. So I wish I had more to report. I feel like, Everett and I both had conflicts, so on behalf of everyone from D11, we apologize for not making that statewide meeting, but yeah, won't happen again, right, Everett? So anyway, like
Thanks,
I said, transit focus, legislative updates, and more to come, so.
All right. Thank you, appreciate
Sure,
it.
no problem.
And then I do see we have I saw some questions come in the chat. I don't know, I don't think I know the answer to this. I don't know if someone in the room does. A question from Pete about how much the 30th Street Bridge cost and how it was funded. Someone wants to take that.
We can get back to that.
Yeah, Pete, we'll get back to you on that one.
Yeah.
Thank you for the question. Okay, next slide. All right, so I'm just going to provide a quick overview of submitting comments through our new BPAC hub. Next slide. So as many of you know, we launched our new BPAC hub last quarter. And so it's a new online forum where we can continue to engage with you between meetings. And the BPAC Hub offers the ability to submit your comments to us directly. And we've already started receiving a lot of comments, so thank you to everyone who's been submitting those, and encourage the rest of you to go ahead and submit comments if you have them. Yeah, if you have just anything regarding your experience biking, walking, or rolling along or across the state highway system, please feel free to let us know. You can scan the QR code here on the screen to take you to our BPAC Hub. And then in order to get to the comment box, just go ahead and click that submit feedback button, and that will take you to the page that you can use to submit comments. Next slide. And then, so this is what the comment submission form looks like. There's actually two options. The first option is kind of this open-ended comment box where you can just go ahead and leave a detailed description of your comment there in the comment box. And just a heads up, if you would like a response from us, please leave your name and email address so that we know who's leaving the comment. Otherwise, it comes through as anonymous. But if you would prefer to leave an anonymous comment, that's also okay. But if you want a response, just be sure to leave your contact information. Next slide. And then the second option is to use our interactive mapping feature to leave a comment. This is located just scrolling further down the page, and you can add a point or a line to a map in order to show us exactly the exact location that you're referring to in your comment. And then it also has a comment box where you'll just go ahead and type in your comment there as well. That way it helps us to see exactly where you're referencing. And again, just don't forget to include your contact information there. Next slide. Then what happens? So after you submit a comment, a notification will come to us that a comment has been made. We will just provide a quick initial response to let you know that we've received the comment. And yeah, we'll, assuming you leave your contact information, let's see. And then once we receive the comment, it's assigned to the appropriate route manager on our team. So team slide earlier with all the team members here we have in the district. And so a number of them manage routes in our district and all the requests that come in along those routes. So it will be routed to the appropriate person. And then they'll coordinate internally with our various teams and functional units here at Caltrans. That may involve things like conducting research into the location, informing project teams that might be working on projects in the area, or maybe initiating an investigation at the location. And then once we've had a chance to look into it and hopefully address your comment, we'll provide you a more thorough update. And also, if appropriate, we'll provide a larger update as well to BPAC so that you all know that we've received a comment and it's being addressed. And also, yeah, so later in the meeting today, we actually have a few examples of locations where we've received comments from past meetings and we've been able to address them as a direct result of your comments. So we'll highlight those later on today. Yeah, before we move on to the next item, did anyone have any questions on that? Okay. Good job.
Oh, so there's details on the bridge.
Yeah, I see Nick responded here from the initial question about the bridge cost and funding source. Thanks, Nick. All right, we will move on to the next item then. Okay, next item is member updates and comments. So this is an opportunity for you all to bring any issues that you would like to the committee and share. So I will open the floor to anyone who would like to do so. I see a hand raised online. Jason?
Hi, I was wondering if I could take a minute to discuss the Pacific Highway overpass over I-5.
Yeah, sure. Did you want to share some information?
Yeah, it would be possible to share my screen.
Yeah, you can share your screen.
Sure.
All right, yeah, we see it.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. So I just want to take a few minutes to discuss this. So this is the Pacific Highway overpass over I-5 in San Diego, and it's a key bike route to Mission Bay, Pacific Beach, and La Jolla. But it's one of the most dangerous spots for bikes in San Diego, and there's no direct detour. The closest alternate route would be a 3-mile detour. The problem is there are bike railings on the road before the bridge, but they end right before the bridge. And on the bridge, the overpass, the lanes are too narrow for cars to share with bikes. So they're 10-foot lanes. So for example, if you have a 7-foot pickup truck and a 2-foot bike, that would leave less than 1 foot of passing distance. I show the measurement here. And like I said, here on the right, the closest detour is a 3-mile detour. The other problem is the bridge is both a blind curve as well as a blind hill crest. So, when you're going over the hill, you can't see past the crest, which means it's also dangerous for cars to pass in the second lane. So there are 2 common ways bikes will approach this. The first is a bike will ride all the way to the right. If you do that, cars will pass dangerously within 1 foot of you. And then the second most common behavior for bikes, and actually there's a sign saying you can be in the middle of the lane, is to ride in the middle of the lane. But if you do that, cars will cross the double line to pass into the oncoming lane on the blind curve and blind hill. And I just wanted to show a video where you can see both. So this is actually me riding up to the overpass. In this first video, I'm sort of doing the first behavior. I'm riding on the right edge. And you can see this truck is coming. And at first, he's giving me a lot of room. He's crossing the double yellow line. But then he sees the oncoming car. And he actually pushes over to me and passes me within a foot, which is very, very scary. So that's the first video. Second video, I'm actually trying to get into the middle of the lane, like suggested by the signage, and I'm passed by a car within inches while I'm trying to get over. I do get over, so this is sort of the second behavior bikes will do. You get in the middle of the lane. This sort of encourages cars to give you more room in passing. However, in this location, this is also dangerous because, as you can see here, this huge truck is all the way in the oncoming lane in the middle of the blind curve. And actually, he also gets over when the oncoming vehicle approaches. And you can see this oncoming vehicle is really hugging the right-hand side of the bridge. So I was just wondering, since this is such a key route, if something could be done. I'm not sure exactly what the best solution would be. Perhaps lowering the speed limit, traffic calming so that drivers don't feel, the obligation to pass bikes. Maybe signs saying explicitly not to pass bikes, or maybe a flex post medium. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Jason, for bringing that to our attention. I'm personally not aware of any ongoing efforts. I don't know if anyone on the call or in the room has anything, but if there's not, we'll definitely take your comments and take a close look at that location. Did anyone on the Caltrans side have any comments or anything they want to add?
We may have to engage with the city of San Diego on that.
Okay.
So I know Everett's on the call, so perhaps you can take note.
Yeah, this is Roy Abood. I'm the office chief for transportation planning, and I know that I'm getting a feedback, so I apologize. I just want to make just a statement that Sandag and Caltrans have been looking at this location, but it's a Sandag effort to try to do improvements here along with all the rest of Pacific Highway. There isn't a set plan yet, but we are looking at improvements at this location. And we've looked at some of these considerations. I think there's also some city projects, but nothing definitive. So we are looking at it and actively we just don't have a solution yet.
Okay, thank you.
Can you all still hear me?
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
okay, thank you.
but there's
a
feedback,
notification that
David.
I-
There's feedback, David.
Oh, there is?
Or- Right now I can hear myself. I'm sure others on the call can hear.
Apologies. If you are signed into a laptop to this meeting, could you just make sure it's muted? Because sometimes that creates an additional audio feedback.
Are you still hearing feedback?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Can one of you try talking now and see if there's feedback?
Hello?
Okay.
Hello?
It's very
Yeah.
quiet.
Okay. Well, it's when we speak from the Teams call, so I'm not sure where it's coming from. But I'll stop. Sorry. Keep going.
Yeah, well, I see Jim is up next with comments, and I don't want him to have the same issue. I'm not sure if there's a way that we can address this, but I mean, you all sound good to us here on this end.
Noise suppression, does that?
All right, Jim, do you want to try and to give your comments, and if the feedback is too much, let us know. We can try and resolve it.
Are you calling on me, John?
Yeah, sorry, yeah. Jim, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Jim Barros. I'm with the California Association of Bicycling Organizations and some other groups. And I wanted to bring your attention to several documents that I sent, but I'll use the new hub for comments in the future. It has to do with the design and implementation of Class 4 cycle tracks, or separated bikeways, as they're called in the documents. As you all may recall, the design criteria and guidance was really developed outside of Caltrans, and Caltrans has adopted NACTO and other guidance, which agencies are using across California. I'm representing some bicyclists who find some problems with the design and implementation of some of the installation of cycle tracks. I won't get into detail, but one that I think deserves a lot of attention, especially due to recent legislation last year about the concept of daylighting roadway parking to enhance the opportunities for people crossing roadway, driveway, or bikeway facility to be able to see each other. That's precluding obstructions to the viewing. And I think that's certainly something that has not been adequately addressed. And what I'm hoping for is that Caltrans would fund a study not only of the crashes, fatalities, and other safety occurrences that have occurred on Caltrans facilities, but on regular other roadways within California. One of the documents that I've sent along, and as I said, I'll put in the hub if I can get it there, is a list of crashes related to design of Class 4 facilities along Pacific Highway. specifically in Southern California in our district. Also, a document that the San Diego County Bike Coalition put together about criteria, considerations that should be made when Class 4 facilities are being designed and installed. Overall, what I'm hoping for is that the crash data will point out areas of guidance that could be improved, modified, and that Caltrans would move forward based on the crash data to provide augments to the design bulletins and others. And that's all I had to say. Thanks for the time.
Thank you, Jim. We did receive the documents that you sent over, so we'll be sure to take a look at those. And yeah, we're always, do our best to follow the most current design guidance. But that being said, we're also monitoring any crashes or collisions along the state right of way. So we'll be sure to pay special attention to those class 4s as you bring up. Did anyone else have any other comments they wanted to add to that, or any other comments during the open comment period that you'd like to bring up now?
Something.
Yeah.
Just, I want to second Jim's comment about the crash history, because certainly there is a theoretical, or you can envision these conflicts at these turning points. And I just want to make sure that any design changes we make are based on actual experience, which may be hard to come by because not every threat results in an actual collision. But nonetheless, just want to encourage practitioners to make evidence-based judgments, not just make changes because theoretically something. What's actually going on, and can we fix that?
Thank you. Yeah, we do look at each location on a case-by-case basis for how we design, and we also coordinate closely with our partner agencies as well to kind of match up with their proposed plan for the future as well. But yeah, definitely something to consider. And also, I know you all have been really good about doing this, but if there's any specific locations within Caltrans right of way that are of concern, definitely bring those to our attention and we can look into those. Yeah.
So I just have two quick things. I wanted to clarify whether the Rose Creek bike path that crosses under the I-5, that area is part of Caltrans right of way. I would assume that it is, since it goes under the freeway. And if so, we received sort of complaints about encampments that will huddle under there to stay safe from the weather, to understand. But another issue with that, alongside the encampments, is that there's not adequate lighting underneath the underpass. And so, especially on a very bright day, you have like a very bright light and that change of darkness, from bright light to deep darkness, that results in very limited visibility to the point where you can't see what's under the bridge at all until you're actually under it. And for a cyclist who's going 15, 20 miles per hour, if someone's camping under there or something going on, that increases the odds of them hitting them or something going on. So lighting has been something that we've heard a lot about that specific area. And so I just wanted to flag that for you guys going forward. And then also the Marina Boulevard crossing on the I-8, very close to here, obviously. When you're going northbound on Marina Boulevard and you encounter the off-ramp for the I-8 to go north, there's very, very limited visibility on your left side for the cars. And so maybe finding some way to increase the knowledge or presence of bicyclists, there's a sign for it, but maybe also conflict striping or something similar could be in order, just to increase the awareness of bicyclists that may be traveling, because we've received a lot of complaints about that area as well, and its proximity to major university, and then also the town care center, other nearby amenities makes it heavily trafficked for some folks.
Which ramp were you referring to again? Just to make sure we have that.
The I-8 West off ramp onto Marina Boulevard going northbound.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I know where you're referring to. Yeah, we'll be sure to look into that location as well. We do have some updates on some of the other areas of I-8 west of there, but we didn't include that specific location in the updates today. But yeah, we'll get back to you on that one. And then the Rose Creek bike path, that location is within Caltrans right away, but I believe the bike path is maintained by the city or Sandag. I'm not sure.
It's not Sandy.
Okay. Yeah, we can.
Most likely.
The city.
Certainly, we can look into it.
Yeah. Okay, thank you for your comments. Pete, I see has his hand raised. You want to go ahead and go next? Pete and Sarah? Pete, can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah, I was trying to figure out how to unmute myself here. Thank you.
No problem.
To start off with, one of the things that I wanted to mention is that the multicolored, I call them badges, that Caltrans is using now to identify lanes that are going to enter the freeway. I notice we're getting feedback. Is that something I can help some way? Okay. I'll continue. So there are a number of freeway overpasses that have become problematic recently by changes that Caltrans has made to Palomar Airport Road, for example, and also on the Mission Drive overpass in Oceanside that we use for the smart cycling classes and also for the e-bike classes. And we use that overpass by using the lane, the number 2 lane, that is just goes directly across the freeway. And Caltrans installed sometime a year or so ago, put a sharrow in the middle of the exit lane from I-5 going west. And we would never recommend cyclists to use that. Some of the people that are on the bike committee in Oceanside have actually seen kids see that sharrow and then ride right across in front of the drivers that are exiting the freeway. So that sharrow should be removed and moved over to the middle of the number 2 lane. I brought this up individually with some of the Caltrans people. Either that or we have to change our smart cycling program and the thing we are using to teach the kids how to ride their e-bikes across that. That is especially important because there is a school in Oceanside on the far side of the freeway. And so getting this right is pretty important. I think Palomar Airport Road is still under discussion with people in the Carlsbad staff. I've been told that there are a number of issues there westbound. That's a huge issue that is very difficult to even describe without a video. But the easiest thing to fix would be the eastbound side, because that used to be just fine. But the bike lane after you cross Avenida Encinas goes directly to the curb and is to the right of the badged lane that goes straight, which is where the cyclist should be. And then there's a transition zone where the cyclist has to look back and yield to the motorist to get across to the bike lane, which by the time it gets to the on-ramp is where it should be. So the correct way to do it is simply to move the bike lane over and keep it to the left of the right turn only lane as soon as it gets past Avenida Encinas. So if you are you going to be sending that hub link to everybody on this committee? You know, I didn't pick it up.
Yeah, yeah, we'll be sure to send that out to everybody. And also the last slide of the meeting here today will have that link again in case you missed it at the beginning. And yeah, thank you, Pete, for your comments. I did want to say that at Mission Avenue in Oceanside, we do have a project in progress at that location. I believe it's supposed to go to construction later this year, if I'm not mistaken. And that will address that Cheryl that you bring up, as well as making additional improvements to that. I think we shared it at a prior meeting, but happy to share that out again. And then Palomar Airport Road, there's been a project there as well, and we've actually been looking at that as well, based on some comments we've been getting, and hoping to make some additional improvements just to increase safety at that location as well. So yeah, thank you for your comments. Did you have any other comments you'd like to share?
I'd like to see the changes that are taking place and that are being proposed for all the freeway overcrossings, undercrossings, 78, I-5 in at least Carlsbad and Oceanside. And because I've seen what's proposed after that change on Mission Avenue, and it's not going to be any better than it is now. So I'd like to be involved in that discussion somehow.
Yeah, we can share some of that information with you. We'll
Okay.
follow up on that with you.
And I think it would be very helpful if we meet in person somewhere on that facility, so that you can actually see what we're talking about. I mean, I can send you videos. I've already done that. But if the people that are proposing these changes can come up and show us how that's going to work, bring their bikes, and we'll go for a ride. I think that's the best way to do it. I mean, we can do it with videos, but there's no substitute for actually being there. And it gives us all a good excuse to go for a bike ride. Thanks.
That's true. Thank you, Pete. I appreciate it. Yeah, we'll be sure to follow up with you on that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. In the interest of time, we might want to just go ahead and move on, but was there any other burning comments or questions people wanted to bring up now? Otherwise, maybe we'll open it up at the end of the meeting if we still have some time.
One more announcement. Nathan Schmidt has left the city of Carlsbad. He's the mobility manager there. A great loss for Carlsbad as well as San Diego County, because he went to Pasadena, so he's not even in San Diego County anymore. Tremendous mobility promoter in Carlsbad and as well as other places in San Diego County.
I hadn't heard that. Thank you. Thanks for sharing that. All right, we'll go ahead and move on to the next item. Virginia, if you wouldn't mind sharing again. All right, so we have a guest presentation today by the Green Infrastructure Consortium. So I'll go ahead and hand it over to Lori and Vicky, if you'd like to present.
It's just Vicky. Lori had to take her husband to the ER. He was having
Oh, no.
trouble breathing, so it's just me.
Oh, man, I'm sorry to hear that.
So who am I though? I'm a landscape architect. I have to ask you, David, though, were both your parents landscape architects? You've been asked that before?
My dad was an engineer, but not a landscape architect.
Because I mean, because there's Jim and Dolores, you know, they're a landscape architect couple, and it's Jim Cullen, just like.
Oh, really?
That's why he
Yeah.
kind of looks like you. I just thought.
Maybe a distant relation. Not a close. That's okay.
Here and why I co-found along with Lori, the Green Infrastructure Consortium. You know, as landscape architect, I've been doing this since 1975, 46 years. Easy peasy. 56 years. My office is 46 years old. And over the years, I've done a lot of projects for Caltrans, you know, the projects I know some of you here are familiar. I've done the Balboa Park Master Plan. I worked on the I-5 widening, you know, up north. And I've had several ex-employees actually come to work for you guys, so in the landscape architecture department. But one of the things we started to notice is that you know, throughout the country, throughout the world, there was a sudden rise in emphasis on green infrastructure. And what does that mean? You know, I'll get into that in a little bit, what that means. And with all due respect to the engineers in the room, you being one, we felt there's just too much concrete, you know, too much hard paving, and from a runoff standpoint, you know, the engineers wanted to get the water into the channel as quick as possible and get it out to the, you know, to the ocean. And that's kind of traditionally been the case. There are exceptions, of course. So we started looking at what other places have done, and we actually went up to LA to look at one of the best examples of a nonprofit that's starting to make a change in helping agencies understand the importance of nature-based solutions, right? That would be our mantra. Next slide, please. Or not. There you go. So very busy day. I know we don't have tons of time. What time are we supposed to end at 4 o'clock?
4:30 is the end of the meeting, but.
Well, I'll talk slower.
We do have some presentations on here, but you don't have to rush too fast.
So I'm going to, as I mentioned, talk a little bit about the benefits of nature-based solutions. And maybe we can help you. Because we've actually gotten several grants, you know, from the state that perhaps we can kind of work on together. Our Green Infrastructure Consortium, we're a nonprofit, but we don't have a board as such. We didn't want to do that. And I'll talk a little bit about some of the initiatives and some of the projects that we're working on, and perhaps some ideas for green infrastructure contributions that we can go work on together. Next slide, please. So I'm not going to read the little text on the right because I can't read it. I don't know if you can. I can read it from my phone, but that doesn't do you any good. What are our values? Again, why are we doing this? Unlike perhaps some politicians around, science is important to us. And we want to respect, you know, evidence-based scientific knowledge and methods. And there's been a lot of studies showing the benefits of green infrastructure. You know, one of the things I was a chair of the City of San Diego Community Forest Advisory Board for 7 years, and did a lot of homework. And one of the things that I found is one study in particular came out of the University of Illinois Champaign-Urbana that in Chicago there were two streets side by side, identical, and the housing was identical on one and the other. One street had trees and a little bit more quote unquote green, and the other street had none. They found that the self-esteem of sixth grade girls was like 70% higher on those streets that had green in them. So it's not just something, you probably all remember Richard Liu, who wrote for the UT. He's written several books, you know, the nature deficit disorder, and it's all about that we are losing our connection to nature. And as a landscape architect, that's, you know, pretty important to me. And I think that we are one of the professions that can help bring this together. So, sorry, my mouth is dry. The allergy pills I take sometimes drives me out. We want to talk about the ability to create holistic integrated improvements, not just a little, bike path here and there. It's something that's a little bit more integrated. We want to create multidisciplinary solutions on our quote organization. We do have engineers and planners as well as instructors. One person actually is considered one of the foremost people who knows most about green infrastructure. He taught at the University of Illinois in Champaign-Urbana, coincidentally, and he was regarded as the expert on green infrastructure. So we were lucky to get him. Now, from the social and environmental justice, of course, there are environmental justice organizations like Environmental Health Coalition, others that are always getting involved. And if you look at their values, it's pretty much the same things that we're talking about, right? And the more green infrastructure we have, the less pollution, the less particulate matter we have, fall on people, because the more trees we have, the better off it's going to be. The floods that happened in Southwest a year and a half ago, did a little bit of research and a quick study. If we would have had twice as many trees upstream from that, there probably would not have been flood. I mean, there would have been rise in levels, but because we didn't have, like other cities, even Bakersfield, for our sake, has tons of street trees, and when it rains, it gives it a chance not just to soak and and hold the water back, but the roots and everything kind of ties together. And the more trees we have, the better off we are from a number of different standpoints. Yes, I know maintenance is a problem and so forth, but there are ways we can deal with that. And how do we integrate environmental and social system? And also, we want to look at ways that we can genuinely collaborate. Next slide. So as I said, what are nature-based solutions? I'll be very broad. I'm not going to read some of the little text. Broadly defined, really putting anything that helps humans live in balance with nature in order to give our future generations, my kids, my grandkids, a sustainable future. Sustainability is important. Nature-based solutions fall in essentially three types: living things, other natural elements such as water, air, soil, and man-made infrastructure to support those elements. Examples might include, here's a couple of examples in the next page as well. Plants and animals are appropriate to the region, not bringing in trees that grow in Florida and shouldn't be here. Surfacing materials, the parking lot right out here, it's permeable, right? And we need so many more of those things. And again, that would really eliminate some of the massive runoff we have when very sudden rain events. Diversions, bioswales, berms, detention basins, all of that. And you aren't doing that, but not as more than you used to. But 20 years ago, that wasn't something that's very common. You have an awful lot of right of way. I know we were in National City and that big groundbreaking, for the connections. I'm also president for Groundwork San Diego, another nonprofit. I have a problem over volunteering. And being on the California Arts Council, you'd think that arts is not related, but in fact, we have a program, Arts in Parks, right? So everything kind of comes together, right? The fire prevention actually is part of green infrastructure. And the city has gotten brand new fire requirements. Even in my house, they came by and said, you can't have any tree closer than 5 feet to your house. The houses up the street, they've got trees all over. For some reason, they picked on us because we're 3 houses from Balboa Park and we were considered in a high flammable zone. So we had to remove any tree, any branches that come within 5 feet. But again, that's part of infrastructure and green infrastructure. Next slide. A lot of people think, green infrastructure is just stormwater. That's a big part of it. But obviously, it's a lot more than stormwater. Waste reduction, repurposing, upcycling. I'll give you an example of a project you'll see in a minute that we're working on Otay, just west of the 805 and the Otay River Valley. Energy efficiency, all that is part of green infrastructure. You can see an example of a complete street but that's from a stormwater standpoint, since you are about complete streets and bike trails, this is a perfect opportunity to, to talk to you about this. Now, what we're doing, we've spoken to Chula Vista, Park and Rec, and other agencies in the county about helping them out, and they all seem to be, you're right, we need to know a lot more about this. So hopefully we can work together and make this happen. More than stormwater, next slide. So what are the benefits to Caltrans of using carefully designed green infrastructure? There's increased safety by reducing flooding, erosion, heat, air pollution, water pollution. One of the projects we're working on now is for the Mount Empire School District on excessive heat, out in Campo Elementary and Campo High School. Who would have thought that that's green infrastructure, but that is certainly part of it. Increased habitability, including for bicyclists, pedestrians, reducing heat and pollution, as I just mentioned. Increased accessibility by designing passages that are safe and habitable, and contributing to the Caltrans goals. You have goals now about sustainability at the state level and local level, quantifiable benefits of reducing air pollution, stormwater runoff, erosion prevention, water retention, all of that. And again, it's quantifiable because it's measurable. So next slide. When I mentioned connected use, natural-based solutions, as a landscape architect, one of the first people that we idolized, was Frederick Launset, probably the most famous American landscape architect. And in Boston, you can see in the upper right-hand corner of the images on the right, kind of dinky. That's a professional term, dinky. And that's the Emerald Necklace in Boston, right? He's the first one that talked about connectivity and necklaces as such. In the lower left of the three, the six on the right-hand side, that's Amigos de los Rios in LA. Unfortunately, they were based, they lost their entire building during the fires. They were just north of Pasadena, but they have done an awful lot in the LA River, San Gabriel River, trying to actually bring back and make things more sustainable, more nature-based. And it involves also history, honoring some of our history. So it's really a good thing to have. As you'll see in a minute here, in San Diego, we're fairly unique. I mean, I'm sure you all know we're the most diverse county in the country biologically, and a lot of that's chiefly because of our topography, the coast, the mountains, the desert, and so forth. And I would not live anywhere else. I don't care how you say that now, but if I'm living on the street, I might see something different. But watershed-based planning, and unfortunately, if we would have done all our communities, all our neighborhood plans based on watersheds, things would be different. There are some places around the world that are doing that, and it makes so much sense, right? The watershed is not just a visual, it's, water, it's your own little contained little living room, so to speak. And we started to look at that as perhaps we can use that as a basis for some of our concepts. Next slide. As you know, these are our western-facing watersheds. And we chose, actually, you'll see a little bit about a report in a bit, to pick on's not the right word, but San Diego and Otay River watersheds were the two that we started looking at in more detail. Obviously, there's a lot more. Now, the next slide, when you overlay that with our county climate zones, next slide, you begin to see that, obviously there's a lot of different versions, but this is considered from the Natural History Museum, some of the major climate zones. Next slide, put these two together. And you get this kind of tapestry. Next slide, please. You can see the watersheds with the climate zones. And you kind of get this little, embedded matrix things. And we to do really good green infrastructure nature-based, you've got to do what's unique to that area. For example, I'm not going to put Torrey pines that are native up here in La Jolla down in Otay Mountain. It doesn't make sense, right? And how native is native? So next slide. One of the things, and unfortunately, different cities have different values, but we really are in a race against time to shape our region to be as sustainable as possible and as resilient as possible. right? I mean, we've had fires that have wiped out, massive areas. And when sea level rise happens, that same will happen on the opposite side. So the status quo, what we're doing now, really needs to change. I'm not going to get into all the detail of these diagrams, but essentially, the frog, by the way, represents, I know it's kind of stupid, kind of funny, leapfrogging, kind of forward. Yeah, wow, why do you think you show that frog? It's livable, sustainable, resilient. Those are key factors as we go forward. Next slide. So some of the projects that we worked on, boy, that is dinky from back here, isn't it? I'm going to cheat and bring up my, it's on my phone as well. So I will do that so I can at least read it. Because I don't have this quite memorized. I know what they are, but as I mentioned earlier, and there is a link. Are they going to get copies of this PowerPoint?
Yeah, we'll send copies out after.
So you can click on some of the links and see some of the reports we've done for OTI and for the San Diego watershed. The graphic in the upper right-hand corner is kind of the introductory graphic, and it's pretty extensive. We've done an awful lot of GIS mapping. Lower left-hand corner, that's actually an excessive heat project in Descanso Elementary that we work on. Now, the two at the bottom, we're working on right now, right next to 805, as I mentioned earlier, just west and 805 goes down into Otay River. On the right-hand side, there's this big grove, 9 acres or so of eucalyptus that were planted in the 20s. That should not have been there. Nobody can figure out whether it planted or who planted them. But we are bringing that back to the way it should have been, right? And as part of green infrastructure, I put in 4 small detention basins and bioswales and so forth. So the water that comes from the hill above, right now, it just kind of sweeps across. That whole area that shows the 4 basins, that's all eucalyptus. And we're going to get rid of, and we're going to reuse and repurpose it, okay? Again, it's all about, being sustainable and reusing what we have. The grove in the picture lower is what it looks like looking at north from just off of Main Street. Next slide. So some of the initiatives, as I mentioned, we've got trying to set up we have set up a collaboration with the Vernon Center for Community Advancement, where if you've been to any of their meetings, tailing their black box and so forth, and on drinking water, Colorado River, all sorts of things. We want to do something similar and talk about, I guess he didn't like the green infrastructure. About green infrastructure, okay? And there is so much misinformation about what a watershed really is. And we put together a story map as to why watershed really is something that should be looked at a lot more carefully. The alliances we developed with the Otay River River Park, joint powers. We also worked in San Diego with the San Diego Park and local communities. And again, we're just starting to really get these relationships put together and partnering with the Institute for Public Strategies in Mission Valley. They're the ones we're working together with on the excessive heat projects. So people are saying, you know what, we like that. We're going to help you get grants and so forth. And we've gotten several grants, actually, like the one in Otay. That was a grant we got for the Wildlife Conservation Board. Almost done, don't worry. And connections to underserved communities. That's one of the things. To be truly nature-based and sustainable, we really, being president of Groundwork San Diego, our purview is the Church Creek watershed, which is largely underserved. And we've been working with Caltrans a lot on some of the projects within your area. We've met with Ann and your old boss Mario and so forth to try to get things together. Right now, we just got the project under 805 and the old 252 was and the 43rd Street. All that area underneath, working with Mundo Gardens to see what can happen under there. So you will be hearing from us on that. We're just getting started on that. Next slide, please. What are some of our common interests? Well, well-designed green infrastructure added early enough. Okay, and that's important because it's not good to you guys do all the design and engineering and suddenly, oh, there's a little spot right there. Put a basin there. That's not the way to look at it. You got to look at it from the very beginning, kind of whole whole, I guess is a good enough word for it. And we think very strongly that doing that, getting involved early, and Caltrans prioritizing green infrastructure much higher than it currently is today will result in better communities, healthier communities, and then eventually, maybe initially, a little bit higher costs, but in the end, it will actually result in lower costs. So there are opportunities for green infrastructure and complete streets to enhance safety, reduce flooding. The county is starting to do that in a couple of places, some of their complete streets. So I'm sure you work with them on this. But again, I talked about trees from a water standpoint, stormwater standpoint, but also through shade and cooler surfaces. Where would you rather ride a bike trail on? No trees or with trees, right? And there you go. So,
If the roots are
yeah.
the pavement.
And then major projects, and like when I first started working for your from the merge all the way to Camp Pendleton, that whole widening effort, we were just starting to get into what green infrastructure was. And I think in retrospect, we could have done things a lot differently and actually incorporated more green infrastructure facilities on the edges to make it better for the communities. Next slide. And almost done. So what do we do now? I came here and I spoke to you and say bye, and I never see you again. I hope that's not the case. On the short term, we really think we'd like to meet with your complete streets people, which you showed their slides. Now I know who they are. To take a picture of them, but I'm sure we can find out, David. And what are some of the actionable opportunities? That's a big thing that we can take action on now that could begin to add green infrastructure in order to help achieve both our objectives. We also want to meet with Caltrans staff to identify specific actionable opportunities to add green infrastructure to major projects that are currently in the planning process. It may not be too late to incorporate these. And then in the longer term, build the inclusion of carefully designed green infrastructure into the planning process for all district-level projects. I tell you, Imperial County could certainly benefit from a lot of the green infrastructure things we've talked about. And again, I have a much longer PowerPoint that actually gets into real examples. I don't have to bore you with that. Maybe we can do that with the later with the complete streets people. So next slide, I think, is the last one. Yeah, see, black, the last one. So with that, again, I apologize for Lori not being here, but we do things kind of tag team anyway. So I honestly think that there are things we can do together as we go forward to make this a lot more livable, make the streets more livable, make the bikeways more rideable. So I'm sure you've got some questions. Come on, you got some questions. I want to call on people if you don't ask questions.
I have a couple of questions.
Please, go ahead.
I saw that you have a couple examples from across the country. If you look at green infrastructure, like policies around the world, I know that like Berlin and Singapore, there's a lot of cities that
There's a lot out there. We're putting a matrix together saying, what some of these agencies and countries are doing, right? And I think I don't want Caltrans to be, you're not leading this right now. So I would like you guys to move up and be a leader in this topic.
Yeah. The other thing is more a comment. I don't know. We don't have the landscape.
I think I saw maybe a few people landscape or design it on the call.
Well, I've contacted Tim Mann and others on the landscape team to actually work together on this.
Yeah.
But this opportunity presented itself first, so I haven't spoken to them. I haven't shown them because I think they would be a great help and benefit.
Because we're trying to implement a lot of these type of.
What am I saying? I'm sorry. I didn't know English. That was 5. I'm sorry. I'm from Nogales. That's where I was born. So I would love to meet with Tim and his people.
Yeah. Definitely.
And if you remember, Kent Askew, he worked for me in the past and others. So I think that's the first people we should begin to talk about.
So we can set up a meeting with landscape.
Thank you.
Also design.
I'll be in touch with you.
Yeah.
Thank you. More questions? No. Okay, well then, that concludes our presentation, and you will see us again. Okay, I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope you understand how important this is to us and how important it is to the people who live here. So,
You also mentioned, you're working on the Shawless Creek, proposal with one of the gardens. Yeah, I would also love to hear, like, what are you working on?
you may be tired of meeting with us, but I'll be glad to meet with you whenever you want and give you some examples.
Yeah.
Because I mean, we've got a bike trail planned, you know, all the way from Choice Creek,
Yeah,
all the way along just west of I-5. And if you've been to Arroyo Seco in LA, you know, that bike trail actually goes down to the concrete channel. And if it's flooded, you know, they don't ride their bike, you know, it's not a big deal. And then you come up when there's more room. We may have to do something similar. That's what we're proposing. And I've showed that to Mario, and you know, it's something that Caltrans doesn't typically do.
Yeah.
Most of the creek is not in your right of way. However, parts of it are because they concrete channel. But there's so much space you have in the Choice Creek watershed within your right of way that you will never use. I can see where you're going to widen. You know, working with Andrew Rice and others, you know, when 94 is going to do things, we make sure we when we're doing the federal avenue, the creek, we're getting rid of the concrete channel, and actually we got funding to build and do the creek the way it used to be. Get rid of the concrete, we're bringing back, you know, the native vegetation. But in order to do that, we had to encroach into your right of way. So we're working with your people. So yeah, I'm glad you had some questions. So, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Can I stay for the complete street presentation?
Sorry?
You're doing a complete street
Oh, yes.
Oh,
after me, so do I have to leave? Can I stay?
no, you can stick around, definitely. Yeah, and we'll be sure to schedule a follow-up meeting with you as well, and landscape and design and those people, so we can continue the discussion. Roy, I see you have your hand up.
Yeah, just really quickly. We're working on a project initiation document that is looking at that the 252 connector that you mentioned. And so it would be interesting to get, you know, maybe that perspective. I don't know, Jose, if you could maybe get Vicky in contact with the PID group that is working on that with April. That might be helpful. Also, just a little FYI, just you mentioned Strollis Creek and all, we have been working with the city of San Diego on Beta Street and some of that flooding issues there, where, you know, there might be some opportunity for some active transportation improvements along with their project that might connect there. So yeah, I think we're all working with similar goals, just, you know, pieces here and there. So just want to coordinate on some of those efforts if possible.
Thank you, Roy. Thank you. Caridad?
I was just gonna jump in on the conversation, Roy. I think that Vicky, you're probably already connected with Barry Pollard and Mundo Gardens on 47th Street, so that dialogue is happening already. Just want to make sure that connection was made.
We haven't signed a contract yet, so that's why next time we're going to be part of that meeting.
Yeah, they let us know that we're gonna start focusing.
Oh, they told you about us.
Discussion around.
Yeah.
Good.
Green infrastructure.
Yeah.
Okay,
Because the
thank
creek
you.
right there is
Perfect.
it's underground in the pipe. Perfect. Pipe, we can maybe bring it up upgrade.
Okay, thank you.
It's done? Okay.
All right, yeah, thank you for your presentation. Okay, we'll go ahead and just move on to our final item here, the Complete Streets Program updates. Next slide. I think we have Trey kicking it off with some updates.
Yes, we have an update in Carlsbad. At the last meeting, there was concern brought up about the newly constructed bike lane in the door zone, and you can see the before conditions there. We worked with the city of Carlsbad and Caltrans functional teams to increase the size of the bike lane and move the buffer to the door zone. Go to the yes. Looks like someone's giving a thumbs up. So as Keith mentioned, we've worked on that. Can you go to the next slide, please, Virginia? It's very close to being completed, but as of today, it's still being finalized with the contractor. We have the plans here that are all approved. So you should be expecting to see that at Chestnut very soon.
Thank you, Trey. And then we'll, pass it on to Alex.
So we recently received some inputs on the off-ramp at Palm Avenue at I-5. And we fed this through our internal system, conducted an investigation, and it's been approved to install no right turn on red signs. So that's been approved. It's just awaiting funding. And I think that's all for this one. Next slide. And so next we got lots of comments on SR 56 crossing the bike path at Camino del Sur and Black Mountain Road. Did the same thing. There's actually some projects in recent history that were finished and installed, and one that was investigated and approved and is also awaiting funding. So I'm going to show those right now. The first one is Black Mountain Road. Next slide. So like I said, this was in recent history. The project was approved and it's out in the field. We did install enhanced signage and a blank out no right turn on red sign. So right turns are restricted on the off ramp, eastbound off ramp going south, and northbound going onto the eastbound ramp. Sorry, didn't get a map there. Next one. So this is a similar situation, and it's going to have more of a suite of upgrades. Can you go to the next slide? So with this one, this diagram is showing the similar upgrades. There's going to be the same no right turn on red restrictions. There's going to be enhanced bike lane striping, green striping. There's going to be PED countdown at the crossing there, so bikes can get a timed crossing, as well as pavement markings on the bike path on the approaches to the intersection, Camino del Sur. So, like I said, this is approved and it's awaiting funding.
Would that involve a leading signal or just a countdown signal?
Leading, I'm going to look into that really quick. I'm not reading.
Pedestrian interval?
Yeah. That advances. Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and I believe that's it for this section. Next slide.
Great. Are you giving this one, Trey? Yeah, sure. All right, thank you, Alex.
There was another comment at the last BPAC meeting. It's come up in prior BPAC meetings asking about how you can cross I-8 Western Marina by bike. And because this has been brought up several times before, we thought it'd be good to try out giving you a more broader view of what has been done and what's going on in the future. And in the slides, you will see some links with resources to where you can see each of these specific plans and projects. So we'll quickly go over some recent accomplishments, including Caltrans, and then long-range plans, which also include work by SANDAG, City of San Diego, and others. And before you go to the next slide, this slide has the Caltrans right-of-way in red. And this is a sort of subject to look at in close detail because the right-of-way does dictate who can do what. So when you look at this, for example, at the Nimitz intersection at the very left side of the picture, you can see which part is in the Caltrans right-of-way and which part is not. Next slide, please. So one major thing that happened in the last several years was the City of San Diego finishing the West Mission Bay Drive Bridge. There are Class 1 paths on both sides of the bridge, or it's two separate bridges. And the link there gives all the information about the project. In conjunction with this, Caltrans made a significant effort to create the connecting striping in both directions. right under the I-8 and the crossing of the ramp. And in upcoming projects, in the SHOP 2028 projects, there's a planned rectangular rapid flashing beacon at that place where you cross I think that's the eastbound on ramp. So those are some specific things in this broader area that have been done and you can expect there. Next slide, please. We wanted to highlight also these broader plans. There's some good resources that SANDAG has. The 2025 Regional Plan Network Explorer gives a lot of information on upcoming projects from different agencies. Pacific Highway was mentioned at some point, and several people gave detail on that. There's additional information on the Pacific Highway labeled as the Coastal Rail Trail in the Regional Plan Network Explorer. And you can filter there. The link is there for anyone who wants to explore it. It also mentions a Midway to Pacific Beach bikeway, which connects to those improvements that were just mentioned on the last slide. Another resource to look at is the Community Corridor Comprehensive Multimodal Corridor Plan. This was recently completed in June 2024. And this has a lot of specific solutions that were proposed, not necessarily funded, but proposed, and different stakeholders discussed these in the Appendix E. So for anyone interested in what has been going on and what may happen in the future, we recommend you consult these resources.
All right, thank you, Trey and Alex, for those updates. Did anyone have any questions or comments on those items? Yeah, Josh?
Hi, can you hear me? Sorry.
Can you hear me? Sorry.
Yes, we can.
Okay, thanks. I wondered if part of the SR 56 bike path improvements, you looked at the intersection of Ted Williams Parkway and SR 56. I believe there was a fatal collision there where the off-ramp and right turn onto Ted Williams Parkway could also use the blank out and no right turn on red. There is a temporal restriction for, I believe, a couple hours in the day for no turn on red, but as you can imagine, a lot of motorists getting off that freeway, getting off the freeway and onto Ted Williams are looking left to make the right on red and not looking right at the cyclists and pedestrians that are coming in the opposite direction. So I wondered if that was something that came up, or if you could add it to the analysis in that internal review process that Alex mentioned.
Yeah, thank you for that comment. Does someone from Traffic Safety and Operations know about that location, or if not, we can look into it?
Yeah, we'll have to look into it.
Okay.
It's the North Region, so. I don't know if anyone's online from the North Region.
Heavy?
Yes, so we did a comprehensive investigation for all the legs that are connected to the northbound 15 on and off to SR 56. And for that particular locations, we came up with some recommendation, but I don't quite exactly remember the details. I could go ahead and look at the investigation and give you a summary of what we did in that locations. But each of these legs that we did for the connectors, we did look at from a very comprehensive point of view from both bikes and heads as well. We do have CSR coming in, expressing some concern about crossing the northbound connected to east-west, and also the westbound 56 going southbound as well. So yeah, I can give you a summary of the TR that we did with the recommendation for those locations. But we did finish the investigation for that.
But recommendations still forthcoming, or
Yes.
Implementation of recommendations? Yeah, it'd be great
Correct.
to add that to the next.
Yes, I can give a brief update on what we recommended for that, and it's already in the pipelines as far as getting some minor projects and also the installation order out.
Awesome, great. Yeah, maybe we can provide an update on that at the next meeting as well. Thank you, Levy.
Sure.
Sorry, one other thing for
Sorry, one
Morena
other thing
Boulevard. Hi, me again. This was something that there was a minor B project for Marina Boulevard itself crossing I-8, and I know this is discussion of west of Marina Boulevard, but it would be wonderful to revisit Marina Boulevard and any additional improvements that could be done there. We were very limited in BPAC feedback that could be provided for some updates when the auxiliary lane on I-8 was added, but I think that Marina Boulevard continues to kind of be a weak link in the network, and if there is an investigation or analysis, I should say, of those ramp connections and that to create a more continuous bikeway with less conflict. That I think it would be wonderful that, and many people would be grateful to provide some feedback on.
Yeah, thanks. I know we looked at that location in the Kumeyae CMCP, some alternatives in there, but I don't know of any ongoing projects at that location, but definitely something we can look at and revisit since that minor B was implemented. All right, well, with that, if we could keep moving because we are almost out of time here. Next slide. Yeah, just a quick announcement about our new community advisory board. So this is a separate committee than BPAC, but also something that you may want to be involved in. It's for Caltrans to hear voices from across San Diego and Imperial counties to help shape our transportation decisions to reflect real community needs. So you do have to apply to be on this board, but if you're interested in applying, there is a QR code there. It's kind of small, but you can scan that and apply to that. And then, yeah, next slide. Oh,
Hey, David.
yeah,
David,
carry on.
I just want to clarify
Yes.
that the for the CAB, the Community Advisory Committee, the deadline is already passed for the application process.
Oh,
I'm sorry,
okay.
this is old information. Sorry, this is old information.
Okay, sorry about that. Thanks for the update. So more of just an FYI then. Next slide. So yeah, we are out of time for open discussion, unfortunately, but if you have any items that you would like us to discuss at future meetings, please let us know. And of course, as I mentioned before, feel free to submit your comments on our BPAC hub, and those are items that we can look into and discuss at future meetings as well. But if anyone, wants to give a guest presentation or has something specific they want to bring up, just let us know. We can talk to you about that.